สวัสดีทุกท่านนะคะ Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. I believe not only the participants who are ready, our moderators and also panelists are also ready to share with us the very interesting topic of AI power expanding data center capacity to meet growing demand. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, is it my honor to invite the Sales Director of Uptime Institute, Mr. Gary Wong, to honoring us as the moderator. Please welcome ผู้ดำเนินรายการนะคะ And now may I invite our panelists, Mr. Dario Chiu, the Country Manager, Thailand and Singapore from One Asia Network. My honor and pleasure to invite the Managing Director of Telehouse Thailand, Mr. Miyashita Ken. Last but not least, my honor to invite the Chief Strategy Officer, Product and Infrastructure from Empire Digital, Mr. Yong Suk Choi. Please welcome. And now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Gary.
Thank you. Sawadee krap. Good evening. Nearly evening time. Yes, good. It's evening. It's a real pleasure to welcome you to today's panel discussion on a topic that's not only timely but absolutely critical to the future of digital infrastructure. AI power expanding data center capacity to meet growing demand. We are standing at a pivotal moment in the evolution of technology. Artificial intelligence is no longer a niche capability. It is a foundational force driving transformation across every industry, from healthcare and finance to manufacturing and media. AI is reshaping how we work, how we live, and how we make decisions. I'm sure all of you use ChatGPT in one way or the other, and of course DeepSeek. But here's the reality. AI doesn't run on magic. It runs on infrastructure. Behind every AI model, every real-time insight, and every intelligent application is a data center, working tirelessly to process, store, and deliver the massive volumes of data that AI demands. And that demand is growing exponentially across the world. AI workloads are not only compute intensive, but they also require low latency, high availability, and massive scalability. This is putting unprecedented pressure on data center operators, cloud providers, and enterprises alike. The question we must ask is, are we ready? Is Thailand ready? That's what today's discussion is all about. We'll explore how the rise of AI is reshaping the design, operation, and expansion of data centers. We'll talk about these challenges like power density, cooling, sustainability, and site selection, and the innovations that are helping us meet them, from liquid cooling and modular builds to edge computing. But as we look to scale, we also need clarity, consistency, and confidence in how we plan and execute that growth. And that's where the Uptime Institute plays a vital role as an independent auditor for data centers. For those of you who will not be familiar, Uptime Institute is the global standard bearer for data center performance, resilience, and efficiency. Through its tier certification system, Uptime provides a globally recognized benchmark for infrastructure reliability, but its value goes far beyond certification. In a world where AI is accelerating faster than ever, having a trusted framework to guide infrastructure decisions is not just helpful, it's essential. So today, we are joined by a panel of experts who bring deep insight from across the ecosystem, technology leaders, infrastructure strategists, and operational specialists. Together, they'll help us unpack the opportunities and the challenges of scaling data center capacity in the age of AI. I encourage you to listen actively, ask questions after the session, and think critically about how these insights apply to your own work and your organization's strategy. With that, let's dive into the conversation. Let me introduce to you our esteemed panelists for this afternoon. They are all experienced data center owners and providers who have taken time and energy to come and share their knowledge with you. I'll introduce first Mr. Daryl Chew, One Asia's Network Country Manager for Thailand and Singapore. So Daryl, can you please introduce yourself and your company?
Sure. Again, thanks, Gary. So my name is Daryl. So I'm heading up the One Asia data center in Singapore and Thailand. We started in Thailand about 6 years ago. I was sharing with the team. So that started our first data center, which is a 20 megawatt data center. And thank you to all our customers who supported us. We are starting to also get into our second data center, which is going to be a 50 plus 50 site up in Pathum Thani, where both of the data centers are. So I'm really pleased to be able to join this panel together with the esteemed expert here. So thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Next, Ken Miyashita, Managing Director of Telehouse Thailand.
Sawadee my name is Ken, Managing Director of Telehouse Thailand, and I'm glad to see many of my friends in this industry today. And we're going to wrap up, this event by having a good discussion. Yes. So just a little bit about Telehouse. We are operating about 50 data centers around the globe, and we opened the first data center in Thailand 2 years ago. Pretty much we are focused upon connectivity type of data center in the center of Bangkok. So today I'd like to give my view based upon a connectivity perspective rather than facility, power, cooling perspective, because we've got other experts here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Last but not least, Mr. Yong Suk Choi, Chief Infrastructure and Strategy Officer from Empyrean Digital.
Hello, everyone. So very nice to meet you, and more than anything, I would like to express my appreciation to the PSTC for this event and the opportunity for these panelists to talk about the future of the data center and the current industry trend together. To speak of the Empyrean, we are still like a very new, like a startup data center platform company headquartered in Singapore. But when we established about 3 years ago, we were looking at the future of the Thailand and really closely looking at the all possible opportunities in the market. So as a result, we announced our first project in Bangkok, around in Bang Na area, last year, November, and we got the BOI's approval like 2 or 3 months ago so that we can fully execute the project in Thailand, and we are very pleased and happy about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, to begin our discussion, let's look at one of the most transformative forces in the digital infrastructure space today, the rise of AI workloads. AI applications, especially those involving machine learning and generative models, are fundamentally different from traditional IT workloads. They demand massive compute power, high-density GPU clusters, low-latency networking, and significantly more cooling and energy resources. This shift in forcing data center operators to rethink everything from floor layouts and power distribution to cooling strategies and site selection. But with this transformation comes real challenges. Operators are grappling with power and cooling limitations, space constraints as AI hardware becomes denser, longer lead times for specialized equipment, and the need for greater operational flexibility to support dynamic, high-performance workloads. So, to set the stage, how is the rise of AI workloads reshaping traditional data center design and capacity planning? And what are some of the key challenges operators are facing in this transition? Now, I'll try to direct these questions to Ken first, but feel free to add on, all right? We just have a nice conversation here today. Ken, please.
Sure. So AI has been around in the last few years now, and starting from the US, Europe, Japan, and Singapore, and coming to other countries in Southeast Asia now. I believe that AI is no longer just a trend. From a large-scale training model to inference, AI has been transforming the key concept of data center in terms of facility. AI workloads and this shift forces operators to rethink about the concept of power, cooling, even networking, connectivity model. So according to our customer report, over 80% of the enterprise customer thinks that strong network as well as internal IT expertise as very critical. So many enterprise customers think that they are running out of right people, right resources internal. So they need to outsource those resources to professional external parties like data center providers, which is one of them. AI requires high throughput, low latency networking between compute nodes and the storage, which nobody doubts, right? So it's not about cooling power facility, but also it gives us a lot of impact around the networking architecture, I believe. Just about power density and cooling, AI servers has been driving power density up to 60 kilowatt plus. Even maybe in the next 5 years, it could be over 100, which is crazy, to be honest. So our key concept has been around maybe between 5 to 20 kilowatt in the last 5 years, but it's quite difficult for us to change that from now. So maybe in reality, we have to take procedures to thinking about next investment to innovate and change our key concept of data center planning. This is pushing data centers to moving from like a traditional cooling system to obviously liquid cooling or immersion type of systems.
Okay. Power is always a major concern. AI clusters can consume tens of kilowatts of power per rack. The latest data that is out in the market right now, the GB300 NVIDIAs, they are consuming close to, per rack of 72 servers, this just a simple calculation, close to between 130 to 140 kilowatts of power. All right, so this is very, very dense. Cooling is another critical issue, all right, especially as air cooling reaches its limits. And operators explore liquid cooling and other advanced thermal management solutions. Then there's space. How do you scale quickly when real estate, especially in urban or edge locations, is limited and expensive? And beyond the physical, there's operational and strategic challenges, from navigating supply chain delays to aligning with sustainability goals and regulatory requirements. So with that in mind, let's dive deeper into the operational side of scaling for AI. What are the largest or the biggest challenges data center operators face when scaling to meet AI demand? Is it power, cooling, space, or something else entirely? I'll throw this out to Daryl.
Okay, I think it's a good question. I think, I guess for any data center developer and operator, all the points that Gary mentioned, power, cooling, they are all important. But I think especially for AI, I think power remains one of the biggest challenges to overcome. I think just speaking from what I understand, based on what we have done for our AI customers, I think everybody here knows that AI consumes a lot of power. That means that from onset, the amount of power needed to start a cluster of even 128 H100 or H200 would be amounting to about 1.5 megawatt just for one cluster. And generally what we see from our customer is that they will be deploying multiple such cluster as whether it's 128, 256, or even up to 4K, 5K GPU cluster. So power remains something that a data center operator needs to plan carefully. Firstly, because for AI cluster, the day one power is huge. And usually for AI customers, they have little to no ramp-up period. Meaning, let's say if an AI customer tells us, hey, we need 5 megawatt on day one, generally they would eat up all 5 megawatts on day one. Therefore, for data center operator, the power purchasing agreement becomes quite important to be able to meet those demands and scale accordingly. And in my own research, I think Thailand is quite unique because I think Thailand has an ultra surplus amount of power today. Based on how I read it from my own research, right, it's about close to 17 gigawatts of surplus power in Thailand today. So from that point of view, Thailand's power to power the AI data center is available. However, what's interesting is that in Thailand, firstly, there's many power producers, from independent to small power producer. So in terms of the total quantity of power available for AI data center, as well as the breadth of power producer that could able to supply to AI data center is available there. But what I've observed when talking to the power producer is that many of them are still not used to signing such big power contracts with data center provider. Things like 50 megawatt up to 100 megawatt of PPA to be signed. And then to them, still remains as a relatively large risk to sign that kind of contract because traditionally for all the power producer in Thailand, even for PEA and MEA, their power is used to power factories, used to power industrial applications, right? But for data center, it's relatively new in Thailand, even in these last 2 to 3 years. But we are starting to see a lot of data center coming in. That kind of put a lot of stress to the power grid. And to many of the power producer, I think being able to understand that for data center ramp up and the amount of power that we need, especially for AI, could be quite huge. And therefore, they need to ensure that their investment into substation can be recovered. So for the power purchasing agreement that we talk to our power producer, the utility company, generally our challenge is that it's not that they won't sign it, but the challenge is that it takes a longer time. It takes a lot of communication to and fro to explain to them that, look, this is the power ramp up that we have. And of course, for them, they have to recover on their investments, right? So I think for a data center, for a substation of up to, let's say, 50 to 100 megawatts, I think the cost would be around, let's say, 200 to 300 million Thai baht just to set up, just to build a substation to power the data center. So to them, sometimes they also need to be able to recover, not sometimes, they need to be able to recover the cost for their substation. So therefore, to answer Gary, I think one of the challenges would be power. Even though in Thailand there's surplus, but to be able to get the power agreement signed as early as possible, because that affects your go-to-market. To build a substation in Thailand, probably about 12 to 14 months. So again, that needs to be factored into the overall timeline for us to build our data center, as well as understanding when the substation will be live to be able to energize our data center. So this is something that I think we need to overcome. I think another point would be, besides power, another point would be the supply chain. I think Gary touched on it before. So as Thailand becomes a hotbed for data center, right? So if Thailand is just the only hotbed in ASEAN, that's wonderful. But you have Malaysia, you have Indonesia, you have Vietnam, maybe Philippines coming up. And of course, there's a little red dot called Singapore, right? So as everybody is trying to get ahead, to get to market as early as possible, supply chain on genset, on chiller plant, and on transformer becomes a risk that we have to plan accordingly. And even though we might build a 50 megawatt data center, maybe on day one we'll be probably turning up like 5 to 10 megawatt. Then what about the rest? So all this ramp up on our own data center needs to be planned out accordingly so that we can overcome any supply chain limitation. So that's one area that we also look at. So, thank you.
Thank you, Daryl, for a lengthy explanation. Over to you, Young-suk. What do you think?
Speaking of the limitation of the AI capacity, actually there are a lot. As Gary mentioned, Daryl and Ken Sang mentioned, all of the space, cooling, power, everything matters for the AI data center. So from the operations perspective, as you asked, one of the key issues once AI clusters are being more deployed, we're going to be the how you maintain the stability of the power from the power perspective. So during the training of the AI cluster, the surge of the power and the fluctuation of your power utilization is actually really dramatic. So from the operators providing stable operations perspective, actually it's really risky. Not only from the operator's perspective, to the grid stability, it's actually getting big issues in the US market nowadays. Because the fluctuation is not only just a 1 or 2 megawatt scale. When the AI cluster are fully running for the training and off-road for their training, either gonna be like a 10 or like a 20 megawatt of the a fluctuation, which is sometimes from the grid level very hard to absorb it. So there's a lot of consideration in the market. As example, not too sure if anybody in the market heard about the supercapacitors. There is a capacitor with the small lithium ion, can have like 1,000,000 times of the charge and discharge, and actually help the shape of the grid surges and the power fluctuation to maintain the stability. So all kind of the new challenges, and there is correspondence of the ideas, thinking, and solutions are happening in the market. So cooling space, but speaking of one of the major challenges going forward, I'd say not everybody's talking about it yet, but the structural challenge will going to be a big issue because every rack is just getting heavier and heavier. So mechanical and the electrical renovation may be able to happen depending on the situation. But once you build the structure, especially in Asia, by the limitation of the land, we tend to build the multi-story buildings. So from the structure perspective, once it's stacked up with the multiple heavy clusters being deployed over the floors, then the structural limitation will going to be also the key consideration we need to face and really need to consider going forward.
Thank you. So just for a simple calculation, when I just did a simple research, the GB300s, the servers, say, assuming one rack has 72 servers, the load, the total weight of the servers is about 3,500 kilograms. So your floor loading has to be planned properly. When you build your data centers, it has to be planned accordingly. All right. So AI is definitely changing the way that data centers are being designed and scaled, but it's also redefining and how we think about operational resilience. AI workloads are not only compute intensive, they're also mission critical, whether it's powering real-time analytics, autonomous systems, or customer-facing applications. Downtime is simply not an option, all right? Do a research on how many chips, how fast the chips burn if it's not done properly. At the same time, these workloads often run on high-density infrastructure that introduces new risks and complexities, from thermal management to hardware failure rates and power distribution. So with that in mind, let's explore how the industry is evolving its approach. The question now is, how are you adapting your operational resilience strategies to accommodate the high density, high availability need of AI applications? We'll get Ken to start.
Sure. When it comes to high availability or resilience things, many people think about all about facility, including a cooling power supply, right? But today I just want to think about a little bit different aspect, that connectivity side. So as hyperscaler data centers grow and AI generate exponential data traffic, actually interconnection or connectivity will take on a more critical role in supporting like a high bandwidth connectivity, because you need to make sure that all the data between compute node and the storage, and even between the public cloud and your computer needs to be transmitted without downtime as well, right? So that's another aspect about resiliency. Okay. So we Telehouse offers the most connected data center environment in Thailand, actually, that can enable real time and high throughput, low latency, and agility scalability networking. Okay. So which is based upon the ecosystem between telecom carriers, ISPs, and even public cloud providers. Okay. So we have to make sure that resilient network, not only a facility resiliency, but also networking resilience. That is my point. This is very critical for AI workload, especially real-time analytics or edge computing, I think. As Thailand will grow as a kind of regional hub going forward, we can enable cross-border data flow as well, because we are bringing together not only Thai carrier, but also surrounding countries, CMB countries carriers as well. So connecting between Thailand and other countries like Singapore, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, even Vietnam. Okay, that is another aspect about cross-border data flow. Multiple interconnection options reduce downtime risks, and I think it can improve operational resilience as well. Okay, we are very focused on latency-sensitive applications of AI. Just like AI inference is one of them, I believe. Gaming and the streaming. So currently they are also based on AI, I believe. So direct access to public cloud or direct access to network providers is another aspect that needs to be ensured high availability plus resilience.
Thank you. Over to you, Daryl.
I think for us, training operational resiliency, I think just to repeat the question, would be for One Asia at least would be more focused on training, also on our experience as well as being able to get ahead on the product knowledge of the latest and the greatest GPU. It's like NVIDIA is like Apple. Every year you get a new model out, right? So it's going to be very headache for many of our operational staff because I think the technology is changing so often. So I'm really glad that we have PSTC, some of the training courses that our staff can attend. But I think for One Asia, at the least, we are kind of lucky in the sense that we have deployed Hopper series as well as Blackwell series GPU in our data center, both in Hong Kong and in Thailand as well. So from that angle, I think in terms of product knowledge, we try to be able to, we try to work quite closely with the hardware vendor, be it NVIDIA or the OEMs like Dell, ASUS or even Supermicro, to understand the technology behind their GPU server and have our own operations team as well as a facility management team to know more about what are the types of SLA needed to support that kind of GPU chipset. So these are things that we try to do. We try to instill in our ops and facility team. And of course, in terms of operational resiliency, O&M remains something key. So as the second point would be that we work quite closely with equipment vendors, or rather MEP equipment vendors. So the UPS, the CRAC. So we have to make sure that we have back-to-back O&M contracts with them so that this equipment remains useful throughout the lifetime, and they won't kind of screw up and then have our SLA broken, and we have to pay a lot of money out to our customers. So that's what we try to do.
Thank you, Daryl. Yong-Soo.
Thank you. So from the pure operation perspective, actually this AI is introducing a lot of brand new challenges because it is actually requiring additional layer of the equipment. Like this is actually tied with the uptime, like tier 3 as a concurrently maintainable, right? Perspective. So like we all talk about a lot of AI cluster, we're gonna use the CDU, right? Then from the CDU level, from the manufacturer of the CDU, what kind of like a redundancy they have in their CDU is a big question mark. Do you have a pump redundancy? How you can fill and refill the a liquid into the CDUs, and all kind of like a new requirement. As an example, like even for the inlet CDUs, the nature of the inlet CDU, the piping is narrow, and if you have enough flow rate to cool your GPUs with the decent temperature range as well too. So those new guidance, as I mentioned, like supercapacitors, there is a pretty good requirement, strong requirement from all the user side that they will gonna absolutely need to deploy a supercapacitor. Should that be has another redundancy in case one supercapacitor's reg is down, as example. So how we gauge and those kind of build the level of the redundancy from the operation perspective, this AI trend and AI requirement actually requiring brand new perspective, brand new angle, how we need to see the a data center operational resiliency from that perspective to support the AI continually. So this is going to be a key, actually pretty strong and hard homework for the operators going forward.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done in the planning, moving forward, especially on the operational challenges, aspects of the running a data center. Because, AI data centers, when they come into play, sustainability is the next question. There's a high power utilization and so forth. All right, so let's move on. The last question to the group. Now, as we look forward to the future, it's clear that AI will continue to evolve rapidly, and so must the infrastructure that supports it. The data centers of tomorrow will need to be more than just bigger or faster. They'll need to be smarter, more sustainable, and more adaptable to the unpredictable demands of AI. This raises a critical question for all of us in the industry. What does the next generation of AI data centers look like? And how can we start preparing for that future today? Let's hear from each one of you on your vision on what's next and what steps the industry should be taking now to get there. Daryl, we'll start with Daryl first.
Thanks, Gary. Well, I guess all of us here wish we have a crystal ball, but it's kind of hard, right? So I guess I have to imagine the future of an AI data center, but I think the trend is coming up. Like, for example, we see my friend here, Digital Age with Big Green coming up. So I guess the partnership between data center and power producer or utility company will get, the cooperation level will get tighter and tighter. So maybe we'll start to see more partnership there. But I also think that power security still remains quite key, which is the reason why we are starting to see hyperscaler invest heavily into nuclear SMR. But of interest, just side note a little bit, I think besides the nuclear option, there's also the thorium nuclear reactor, which is more safe and produces less nuclear waste. But that thing aside, right? But so that's why I think we should be seeing more data center operator working closer with power generation company, or even investing in power producing facility on site. That's what I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Ken?
Right. So as Gary said, one of the point is sustainability. So I think not only about it's just like a power consuming infrastructure, but also we need to think about how we can make it sustainable, right? So I think it's already prerequisite that you need to comply with green and sustainable standards of each country. Because we just consume 50 megawatt, 100 megawatt power, electricity, which is 10,000 condominiums, households equivalent, right? So again, in order for us to make it sustainable, we always have to think about how we can make it more efficient, right? And make it sustainable. So just taking this opportunity, we're going to start a 50 megawatt AI data center in Osaka this year, starting this year. So we're going to see how it works in reality, because it's exactly the center of metro city Osaka, right? And still we have to consider how we can make it sustainable. We need to get consensus from the residents as well, right? So let's see, we can get a lot of things, lessons and the track record, spending 5 years from now, and we want to make sure that we can apply those lessons to our new investment going forward.
Thank you. Yongsuk.
Yeah, so since Ken and Daryl explained the sustainability and the future, like a power perspective, so there's a bunch of things we can discuss about it, but I just would like to reiterate like what kind of like an AI data center we're going to look like in the foreseeable future as well. Until like earlier part of this year, my biggest concern is how we can keep up the technology. Because NVIDIA is trying to make a new generation of the like a GPU chipset. We're gonna increase the rack density from the 30, 44, now 60 and 140, and they are also predicted the next generation of the Blackwell, GB300, can potentially use the 350. So those kind of limitation, we're gonna just going up and up and up. And will this gonna be the cases? Then from the operators and the data center providers perspective, how we can keep up those requirements and how we can reflect those requirements into the design. So those were my concerns, and actually I believe that pretty much a lot of people in the industry were thinking about those concerns as well. So I had an opportunity to join the data center world in the US earlier this year and had a pretty lengthy conversation with the NVIDIA team, and that they kind of start to like a spec for their cluster size as like a 5 megawatt guidance, which means as long as you have a 5 megawatt of the capacity, then you're going to be able to accommodate, as long as you have a proper cooling solution with the supply of the 5 megawatt of the power, then there is a chance that you can deploy the most recent generation of the GPU chipset and use your existing IT capacity for the AI data center, which is actually opening up brand new opportunity for the existing investment, and along with the some we can call legacy data center or small edge data center already deployed, always in the market, can be converted into the new opportunity, because we all understand that GPUs, AI data center and usage of the AI will gonna be a commodity. Then the special right for the some special use cases. So for those, I love to work together with our industrial peers and along with the users to find out how we can make that happen, especially in the Asia market, so that we can make the best use of the power capacity we can have, because power is not infinite, right? So how we can make the best use of those powers and along with the gather the industry's wisdom to generate and convert and accommodate the future usage as much as possible.
Thank you very much. With that, I would like to extend a warm thank you, a big round of applause for this for the panelists here tonight. All right, if you have any questions, please approach them after this session. With that, ขอบคุณครับ Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Gary, Mr. Dario, Mr. Miyashita, and also Mr. Yong Suk Choi for this fruitful session, the panel discussion of AI power, expanding data center capacity to meet growing demand. So, I believe we have received lots of information right now. At this moment, we'll move to the final session ลำดับถัดไปนะคะจะเป็นช่วงเวลาสุดท้ายที่ทุกคนรอคอยนะคะตอนนี้ผู้ที่จะมามอบความพิเศษอยู่ตรงนี้กับเราแล้วนะคะ so and now let us move to the lucky draw, the part that we are longing for. So let's give a big round of applause to welcome Associate Professor Dr. Shit Lawatana, who will give the lucky prize to the lucky winner right now. 5 คนนะคะดร.เดี๋ยวสักครู่หนึ่งนะคะเดี๋ยวเราต้องช่วงเวลาสุดพิเศษเราต้องให้ท่านดร.อยู่ตรงกลาง เดี๋ยวสักครู่เดียวค่ะของรางวัลมีทั้งหมด 5 อย่างด้วยกันอันนี้เป็นเปลี่ยนเป็นพริตตี้แล้วนะคะดร. So we have 5 prizes to give away.
I thought that I come here to match a handsome man with the beauty queens.
So we're perfectly matched. And we have 5 prizes, which is the gold. ตอนนี้เรามีทอง5 รางวัลค่ะ 4 รางวัลนะคะจะเป็นทองคำ4 รางวัลนะคะ4ก่อนเลยนะดร.พร้อมแล้วเหรอคะ ทุกท่านพร้อมไหมคะ Everyone, are you ready to be the lucky winner? Yeah. So Dr. Shit will start with 4 prizes. We have the half 3.75 gram of gold. ทอง1 สลึง 4 รางวัลนะคะจะเป็นของใครเอาชัวร์นะคะ 1, 2, 3, 4. Only one condition. The lucky winner need to be here. ขออนุญาตนะคะดึงมาแล้วนะคะ โอเคค่ะจาก if I pronounce the wrong name I am please apologize. So the lucky winner is คุณวิทักษ์ภาพร from Ethics Everywhere SA. Are you here? เขาดาวเอา5 ถึง 10พอไหมคะ1 ถึง 3นะคะเขาดาวแล้วนะคะ 3, 2, 1 เดี๋ยวฝากนะคะเดี๋ยวขอทั้งจับก่อนนะคะ So the lucky person is from LF Lanson. Congratulations to คุณชูฮงเย่ชูฮงเย่ are you there? Oh เดี๋ยวเราประกาศกันก่อน So we continue announce all the 5 lucky person or we'll give one by one เรามอบทีเดียวหรือว่าทีละคนทีละรอบนะคะท่านดร.เผื่อคนไม่อยู่congratulations เรียนเชิญดร.ชินนะคะมอบรางวัลก่อนเลยอยู่ไหนกันเนี่ยอันนี้ต้องเอาคืนไหมคะ Say you No, not this one. You get the gold. Later on ใช่ไหมคะเดี๋ยวค่อยมารับ The lucky winner. Congratulations to คุณชนัทการันรังสิพรคุณชนัทอยู่ไหมคะไม่อยู่นับใหม่แล้วนะคะโอเคไหม3, 2, 1So we have the lucky person from Bacon Internetwork. The prize go to คุณอาทิตยาพันวิพาส Countdown 3, 2, 1 redraw. ขอบคุณค่ะCongratulations to คุณวุฒิพัฒน์วัฒนนุกรอยู่ไหมคะถ้าไม่อยู่เดี๋ยวจะแบ่งเป็นให้พิธีกรเรานำกลับบ้าน redraw because we still have lots of the upcoming winner lucky winner so let's see this time from KKP Townwork Company Limited are you here Congratulations to คุณจิรายุหอมทอง No ไม่มีอยู่ไหมคะใช่ไหมคะคุณจิรายุ อ่าพลาดเลยเดี๋ยวมาดูค่ะ คนนี้อยู่แน่นอน True Internet Data Center เริ่มมองกันแถวนั้นไหมคะ Congratulations to คุณอัตพงศ์สุขระทองจะยังไม่ไปถึงใครนะคะก็เหมือนเขาคุยกันบอกเรามีคนอื่นอยู่ในบริษัทอีกนะ เดี๋ยวด็อกเตอร์จับให้หน่อยค่ะ มาค่ะ อยู่ในมืออีก 3 ท่าน Oricon Consulting Thailand Congratulations to คุณสุชาติสิริถาวรชันโอ้ยชอบนะคะยินดีด้วยค่ะ อยู่ไหมคะ เวลาอยู่เราอยากเขาดาวจังเลยให้เขาวิ่งมาเร็วๆ4 ยินดีด้วยนะคะ รับทองคำ1 สลึงไปเลยจาก PSTC Academy The lucky winner that we are looking for ยินดีด้วยค่ะ congratulations แบ่งเพื่อนไหมคะ ได้ค่ะ we still have 2 more lucky person to go
จริงๆ แนะนำให้ใช้หน้าม้าก็ได้นะ เพราะเขาไม่ได้ตรวจ ID นะไกลละ
ไปตรวจด้านล่างค่ะดร. จะไปชี้ทางได้ยังไง เดี๋ยวตรวจนะคะ เราถ่ายรูปไว้แล้วนี่ next ค่ะ EMM Engineering ลองดู คุณพงเทพวิจิตรยามไปค่ะ ไม่มีอีก 2 ใบเดี๋ยวก่อนค่ะ ท่านนี้อาจจะอยู่ EEC Engineering Network Congratulations ทุกคุณชนิการพันพฤกษชาติ เย้ อันนี้คือท่านที่ 3 นะคะ ที่ได้รับรางวัลทองคำ1 สลึงจาก PSTC Academy ค่ะ ยินดีด้วยนะคะ 3 2 ทีมงานของเราอยากวิ่งไปรับแทนใช่ไหมยินดีด้วยนะคะ ยินดีด้วยค่ะ เดี๋ยวลงทางด้านนั้นได้เลยนะคะ คนสุดท้ายนะคะ ที่จะได้รับรางวัลทองคำ1 สลึงจาก AES Group อยู่ไหมคะเราจะมา AES Group ยินดีกับคุณถนัดเตชะธนบัตรเงียบอย่างนี้ไม่อยู่แน่นอนไปค่ะ อยู่ไหมคะ ยินดีด้วยนะคะ AES Group คุณถนัดใช่ไหมคะ ยินดีด้วยค่ะวู้ ใช่ค่ะ แล้วตอนนี้ค่ะก็อยากจะใครยังไม่ได้รางวัลและอยากได้รางวัลทองคำ2 สลึงบ้างเขาบอกใครยกมือนี้ได้รางวัลแน่นอนเย้ด็อกเตอร์ค่ะต้องจับให้ได้ชื่อท่านที่ยกมือนะคะใบเดียวนี่รางวัลใหญ่สำหรับวันนี้นะคะมาค่ะ จาก Department of Science Service and the big prize go to คุณภูวดีทุจินดาไม่อยู่จับไม้3 2 1 because this is a big prize so it's not easily taken away Oh, Uptime Institute. Uptime Institute. 3. So maybe you can separate, divide it. Let's see. And the first prize go to Mr. Gary Wang. Yay! Yeah. And yeah, congratulations. And he contributed to us just previously being the moderator for the fruitful panel discussion. Congratulations ขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับผู้โชคดีด้วยนะคะ ว้าว ขอบพระคุณดร.ชิดนะคะที่ได้ให้เกียรติขึ้นมามอบรางวัลค่ะและนี่ก็คือรางวัลค่ะที่ทาง PSTC ได้จัดเตรียมไว้ให้นะคะเดี๋ยวเราลองดูค่ะจะเริ่มแชร์กันแล้ววันนี้ค่ะทั้งวันนะคะที่เรื่องราวต่างๆได้เกิดขึ้นมากมายนะคะงานในวันนี้ค่ะจัดขึ้นโดย Data Center Knowledge Sharing 2025 นะคะ Organized by PSTC Academy ค่ะในลำดับสุดท้ายนะคะใครขอเรียนเชิญนะคะ So ladies and gentlemen to conclude today's event I would like to invite Mr. Paramet Ryangnu, the Group CEO and co-founder of PSTC Academy on the stage for delivery closing remark. Please give a warm welcome.
ครับสวัสดีครับผมไม่รู้จะหาคำพูดยังไงที่จะขอบคุณวันนี้นะครับเพราะว่าผมเห็นหลายๆท่านก็เข้ามาจอยวันนี้ค่อนข้างจะเยอะนะครับแล้วก็ก่อนอย่างแรกก็ต้องแสดงความยินดีกับคนที่ได้รางวัลทองคำวันนี้นะฮะแล้วก็ในนามของ PSTC Academy นะครับทางผมก็ขอขอบคุณทางวิทยากรวันนี้นะครับที่มาแชร์ริ่งความรู้ต่างๆให้กับทุกท่านในงานนี้นะครับผมมั่นใจว่าความรู้ที่ได้จากวันนี้น่าจะช่วยท่านไปต่อยอดในการทำงานของแต่ละวันแต่ละท่านได้นะครับในการทำงานจริงนะครับแล้วก็ขอบคุณสปอนเซอร์นะครับที่เข้ามาสนับสนุนโครงการนี้นะครับแล้วก็มันรู้สึกว่าวันนี้เองผมรู้สึกมีกำลังใจมากขึ้นที่จะต่อทำอีเวนต์ในปีถัดไปให้เกิดขึ้นในเมืองไทยและให้เป็นเหมือนครอบครัวหนึ่งที่เรามาเจอกันปีละ1 ครั้งที่นี่นะครับซึ่งเดี๋ยวปีหน้าเองเราก็จะมีกำหนดจัดอีเวนต์ Data Center Knowledge Sharing 2026เนี่ยนะวันที่24 จูนซึ่งเป็นวันพุธนะฮะก็คาดว่าปีหน้าเราได้เจอกันอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะครับทุกท่านที่นี่นะครับขอบคุณมากครับผม
เสียงปรบมือนะคะให้กับคุณปอค่ะคุณปรเมศนะคะ
ถ่ายได้หมด
สุดท้ายสุดนะคะขอพวกเราอย่าเพิ่งไปไหนนะคะขออนุญาตเก็บภาพที่ระลึกร่วมกันทุกท่านนะคะเราถ่ายลงไปหรือว่าให้ทุกท่านขึ้นมาบนเวที
โอเคเดี๋ยวขอเล่น
For the last part could you please come up on the stage and let us have the group photo to mark this data center knowledge sharing 2025 right here we need to capture our memorable moment เรียนเชิญทุกท่านนะคะได้ถ่ายภาพร่วมกันนะคะ group photo before we meet next year ก่อนที่เราจะได้พบกันใหม่ปีหน้า24 มิถุนายน 2026 นะคะ
ขอเรียนเชิญเลยนะคะทุกท่านนะคะด้านบนเวทีเลยตอนนี้ขอความกรุณานะคะทุกท่านเลยเดี๋ยวเราจะเก็บภาพในช่วงท้ายนี้นะคะสำหรับการเป็นภาพประวัติศาสตร์เนาะในปีนี้ 2025 ร่วมกันค่ะขอเรียนเชิญทุกท่านนะคะให้เกียรติบริเวณบนเวทีของเราด้านหน้าได้เลยขอบพระคุณนะคะ
ใช่แล้วล่ะค่ะ
เรียนเชิญเลยค่ะเดี๋ยวช่วงนี้นะคะเราขอเก็บภาพในช่วงท้ายขอบพระคุณค่ะเรียนเชิญเลยค่ะทุกท่านเลยนะคะขอเรียนเชิญด้านหน้าเลยเดี๋ยวเราเก็บภาพร่วมกันเนาะก่อนที่จะเรียกว่าจบสิ้นนะคะสำหรับทางด้านของงานดีๆในวันนี้ค่ะ
ค่ะเวทีอยู่ทางด้านหน้าเดินตรงมาได้เลยนะคะในครั้งนี้ค่ะต้องขอบคุณทุกท่านจริงๆที่